Hey, what's up? It's Matt, and Stereotype Threat is being at risk of confirming a negative stereotype about a group to which you belong. That's right, no intro, we're just jumping into this. To put that in more colloquial terms, it's the idea that our behavior worsens when we are reminded of a negative stereotype about one of our groups. Let me give you some examples to show you what I'm talking about. In 1995, psychologists Aaron and Steele had black and white students from Stanford take a GRE SAT type test. In the control condition, there was no significant difference between the scores of black students and white students. But in their experimental conditions, we see stereotype threat occurring. In one condition, the test was described as a measure of intellect instead of just, here, sit down, take this test. And in the other one, participants were asked to identify their race beforehand. Both of those things, in separate experiments, made black students' scores drop significantly lower than whites. That sounds crazy, but it's true. And there have been a lot of other experiments that have replicated this, which I'm going to talk about later. Okay, so there are a couple of connected reasons why stereotype threat occurs. So first off, when you think or do or see anything, it activates other memories in your mind that are connected to those things. So if I'm taking a test and I'm asked to identify my race, those are the two most salient things in my mind at that time, and they activate things that are related to both of those. Now, if I'm black, one of the things that's likely to come to mind is the stereotype that black people are viewed as less intelligent than white people. The thing is, you don't have to believe in that, and I would wager the vast majority of black people don't believe that. But because that stereotype is activated during this test, you start thinking, oh god, come on, don't let me be another stereotype, I gotta fight this, I gotta do better. And worrying about that makes you stressed and not as able to focus and uses up your cognitive resources that you should be using for the test. All this focus on things like anxiety that aren't your test make you do worse, and that's the effect of stereotype threat. And if you don't believe me still, I have another example which I think is even way more powerful than this one. A couple years later, psychologists Patinsky and Ambadi do a similar test with Asian American women. It's a math test, and they split them up into three groups. One that's a control that will have nothing, one that will be given questions that really emphasizes their gender, and one that will be given questions that will emphasize their ethnicity. Now, the stereotype in America is that compared to white men, women are worse at math, and Asian people are better at math. And this exact thing happened with the results. The group that was made to think about their gender did worse on the math test than the control group, and the group that was made to think about their race did better on the test than the control group. Now, the group that did better is not actually stereotype threat, that's something similar called stereotype lift, but the point is that this result is crazy to me. I mean, like, even just, checking a box that says your race or filling out questions that makes you think about your gender can alter your performance. Also, interestingly, when the experimenters took this to Canada, the performance of Asian women when they were made to think about their ethnicity did not go up. So it's not just the identity as a whole, it's the specific stereotypes within a region that affect this. And minority groups can do better than white groups, like the Asian example I just gave you, and also there have been studies where black and white students were playing a sports-related game, and then when made to think about their race, white students did worse. Okay, but in the grand scheme of things, these effects are kind of small, so maybe you're thinking, should we care about this? Is it that big a deal? Well, if you recall, the first experiment we talked about had black students doing worse when they literally just checked a thing that said what their race was. And what's that test that every high school student has to take to get into a good college that makes you identify your race beforehand? Oh yeah, the SATs. Now, I'm definitely not trying to say the difference in race scores on things like an SAT is due to stereotype threat, because there are way more factors, but that could make you mess up enough problems to maybe not get into the college you want. Which is awful. However, I am happy to say that the SAT recently moved its race identification to the end of the exam because of lobbying from social psychologists about stereotype threat. I just found this out recently, and that's why I wanted to make a video on this. See, look, you finally got the reason. So we obviously have a long way to go with this kind of stuff, but I wanted to share it with you because one, I think it's crazy how something this small can have that significant a difference, and two, I'm happy that the SAT did in fact change their identification. So I guess just this one time I'm going to say, thank you, SATs. Thanks for watching. A lot of cool videos and updates and small channel changes are coming soon, so stay tuned for that. And tomorrow, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be doing a live Google Hangout with SciJoy and a bunch of other small YouTubers talking about science and education and YouTube and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye.